Good afternoon and welcome to the Planning Committee held here today on the 10th of February. I'm Councillor Gary Marsh, I'm the Chairman of this committee. To my left is my Vice Chairman, Councillor Coote. To my right is the the Manager of the Planning Department. To his right is Caroline, who's one of the planning officers. To my left is the Senior Head of Regulatory Services, Mr. Clark, and Zach is our resident solicitor here. In front of us, we've got the members who are going to make the decisions. So the three members, the officers behind me, are from Democratic Services. We're joined by Councillor Hussain, who's coming here today to observe because he's actually coming on to the Planning Committee in a couple of months' time. But he can't take part because he's not done the requisite training for the today. So welcome. See you in the future. That's no problems. Right. Item 1 on the agenda, excuse me, is to receive apologies from absence. I've got Councillor Walker. I've not heard from Councillor Eccleston, so we don't know if he's joining us or not. Item 2 is to receive declarations of interest from members in respect of any matter on the agenda. Councillor Pulfer.
Mr. Chairman, thank you. Under item 5, 6 Burma Close is where I live, and I will absent myself from the meeting at that time, if I may.
Thank you. Item 3 is to confirm the minutes of the meeting held and the committee held on the 13th of January. Sorry, yeah, I'll get that in a minute. We have an amendment, and I've agreed to take this amendment. I shall read this amendment out. This has come from Councillor Brown, and I think it actually tidies up what was discussed. It was item 10 last month. If you remember the community centre in Burgess Hill, and what Councillor Brown has said, I shall read it out, and if you follow it on page, whatever it is, there are some bits struck out and some bits added, and it is on page 10, and it starts off, the chairman noted. So I'll read it out, what I've agreed, and if you agree with it, we'll pass that. The chairman noted that Burgess Hill Town Council's comments that it would be desirable to have covered bike racks and electric vehicle charging points, the electronics being scrolled out, and the need for scrolled out, and the need for cycle parking was reiterated by members of the committee. The next sentence is scrolled out, which was the members encouraged to contact the portfolio holder. We asked Mr. Ashdown to do like that. So the next bit which has been included, it was agreed that the planning team leader would also write to the applicant to express the desire for cycle parking on the site to be taken forward as the building is in the council's ownership. It would be something the council's landlord to consider separately. Are you happy with that addition to that part of the minutes? Can you now signify on your normal way when it comes up on our screen? Green for yes, red for no, amber for you don't. It's abstaining. You have an extension. All right, never mind. It's come for up 8 to confirm the minutes, no refusals against it, and 1 to abstain from the minutes. So I'll sign those minutes later, Helen. Okay, thank you. Before we go to item 4, because I conveniently forgot about it, the Vice Chairman's going to read out the safety procedure. Vice Chairman. Yeah, right one.
Yeah, thank you. The building fire alarm signal is a continuous 2-tone alarm. On hearing the evacuation alarm, 1, leave the building by the nearest marked exit route. 2, follow the green signs to the assembly point, large staff car park opposite the entrance to the building. 3, anyone who cannot use the stairs will be helped by officers present after other people have left. 4, do not return to the building until told it is safe to do so by an authorised officer. The whole of the council site is a no smoking area. Mobile phones must be switched to silent or off. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Vice Chairman. Item 4 on the agenda is considering the items that I agree to take as urgent business. I have none. So we move to substantial part of why we're here today, is item 5, 6 Burma Close, Hayward Heath, West Sussex, and we'll say goodbye to you temporarily. Councillor Pulfer. This, I think, is yours, Nick.
So thank you. The application seeking consent for some tree works for a small number of trees which overhang, the pond. The purpose of the works are for general maintenance of the trees, which is good practice, but also have a beneficial impact on the pond below, and it improve its biodiversity because there'd be more sunlight getting into that pond. So next slide, please. It's just an aerial photograph, so you can see the group of trees towards the middle of the screen there, and just below those trees, you can please make out the pond, which I've just referred to. What this shows is the yew, which needs to be cut back. As you can see, it's quite significantly overhanging the pond there. Right. And the other tree is the oak tree again, which needs to be cut back to allow more sunlight into the pond. The recommendation is one of approval, as updated in the update sheet. You will notice, unfortunately, on the agenda itself, there is no recommendation. So the recommendation and conditions are on the update sheet. Okay, thank you very much.
I just remind members and the watching public, the only reason this is here is because of Councillor Pulfer owns the trees. It would have been a delegated recommended approval. So do we need to debate, or should we go straight to the vote? Can I have a proposer, please?
Move to recommended, Chairman.
Go via Councillor Phillips. Right, can you, when it comes up on our screen, can we, green for you agree, red you don't, amber you abstain. Right, that is 100% for approval. That is recommended, and with all the conditions that you see on the update sheet. Thank you very much. We'll wait for Councillor Pulfer to join us. Right, item 6 on the agenda is recommended for refusal. We've seen this one before. It's DM 213763, Cross Construction Development Site, Rocky Lane, Hayward Heath, West Sussex. And I think this one's yours, Caroline.
Thank you. So, as set out, this is a resubmission, previous application at Kilnwood Apartments for the erection of 9 further apartments within a single 3-storey building, as well as access, parking and landscaping. I would draw members' attention to the update sheet. An additional reason for refusal has been proposed as the Section 106 agreement has not yet been completed for the affordable housing and infrastructure contributions. The application relates to an area of land to the west of Kilnwood Apartments. To the south of the site is the A272, west is the London to Brighton railway line, and north is the Old Rocky Lane alignment with a cluster of dwellings opposite. The site slopes towards the south-southwest. The trees situated along the northern boundary, to the west of the access, are protected by a tree preservation order. The site is located within the built-up area of Hayward Heath as defined by the Mid-Sussex District Plan. It should be noted that the red line boundary of the site has changed during the course of the application to reflect the area around the existing cycle store. This plan also shows the position of the apartment block that was previously considered by Planning Committee, and it's indicated by the dotted line. This application would position the proposed block some 4.7 metres further north. And from the Reserved Matters application for Kilnwood Apartments. As you can see, the area to the west, where the current application site is, was shown to be landscaping. It was considered that the layout and landscaping for this development would assist in softening its appearance and provide a cohesive scheme in the context of the semi-rural area. These are the elevations of the proposed block of flats. As per the previous application, the design of the flats again is to replicate the existing buildings. No objections have been raised to this approach. This slide shows the floor plans with flats, again 3 flats located on each floor. The flats are to have 2 bedrooms, other than one ground floor flat, which will have 1 bedroom. It's proposed for 3 of these units to be for affordable housing. This plan shows the proposed landscaping for the development, which would include new tree planting and hedging around the site. The slide shows an image from the application, for context, showing a view from Rocky Lane as existing and then with the additional flats. Firstly, these are site photographs. The first photo shows the view from within the site, as whilst generally level, the site, it does slope away to the south. The other photographs are taken from around Rocky Lane. The character changes, as you can see, beyond the flats as the development falls away, and the site that's proposed is on higher land. Whilst this scheme would site the flats further back within the site, it does remain that this position and height would give greater visual impacts, and the development is considered to be a more dominant. Whilst landscaping is of benefit, there are issues considered with this, as it cannot be retained in perpetuity, and there's also impact to the relocated trees that are being proposed. It should be noted that there are matters that weigh in favour for this development. It will provide 9 houses within the built-up area, 3 of which will be affordable with associated infrastructure contributions. It is noticed that there are highway concerns, however no objections have been raised by the Highways Authority. There have also been noise concerns, but no objections have been raised by the Environmental Protection Officer, and Network Rail have also been consulted regarding the train line, but have again raised no objection. Whilst these benefits are acknowledged, when considering the planning balance, the development is considered to have a significantly harmful impact to the character of the semi-rural area. It's also considered to have an adverse impact through the existing trees that are to be relocated. As such, the recommendation before you is for refusal. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you, Caroline. Well, the gist of the matter is, members, if we allow this to go forward, and it's within the gift of this committee, it does sort of semi-contradict the reasons we gave permission the last time, because this was meant to mitigate the impact as you've just seen. So, does anybody wish to speak? If you indicate, Councillor Pulfer.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Historically, this piece of land was owned by Crest, and they developed all of the first half of the plots across the road. They sold this off to this developer, who, when they put the first blocks in, made a very big point of saying that they were going to landscape, put trees in, and do everything they could to mitigate effectively one of the main entrances to Haywards Heath being 3 blocks of flats. I would suggest that this application is nothing short of disingenuous, because it was a big sell as to how good they were going to make it and the landscaping, and now they want to put flats on it. I think it would be prejudicial to the current residents, because it will take some of their car parking spaces away, and so I totally support the rejection of this application, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Pulfer. Councillor Brown.
Thank you, Chairman. I've read the committee report and the representation documents and can see it's finely balanced, and that's why it's come to this committee. DMH Stallard, Morgan Carn Architects sustainability statement said, ample secure cycle parking, cycle storage has been proposed in a practical location. It's 1.1 miles from the town centre, 10-minute ride. So far, so good. The SK Transport Planning document quotes, West Sussex County Council highways provide alternative travel options to the use of a car. So, when I visited site, I had a look at the adjacent block C, where there's 20 cycle places provided, and I noticed there are 12 cycle places provided with this block D. So what did I find? Well, I found one wheel, Chairman, it locked in the cycle storage area, and that to a cyclist means that this area, this cycle storage is not fit for purpose, and cycles have been stolen, and that's what's left, a wheel. So our district plan 21, paraphrasing it, it says DP 21, alternative opportunities to facilitate and promote the increased use of alternative means of transport to the private car, including cycling, should be provided where suitable facilities, provide suitable facilities for secure storage have been provided. Well, so the existing cycle storage at Block C, I didn't look at A and B, but I presume they're the same, and the one that's proposed at Block D is certainly not secure, and it's not fit for purpose. I mean, cycles need to be cared for and locked in a proper cage where they're not going to be subject to vandalism or theft. If I lived in one of these flats, I wouldn't have a bike, because certainly if I was on the second or third floor, there would be no facilities, and I certainly wouldn't be able to use what's been provided here. So, for me, it was a little thing that I was looking for, and it tilts me even more in the direction of supporting this recommendation. Thank you, Chairman.
Okay. Just to give you some contents, when, and if I've got this right, the planning application which was given to this came before our district plan. The district plan came after, and at that stage we weren't requiring, the only place I do know we required was down at the railway station for secure parking down there for the bikes, but everything else was just open tracked, as we've got one out on the campus over the side. So you are right, but this came before our district plan, otherwise we would have insisted that had been a more secure. Yeah, you want to come back?
Yeah, I understood that, but of course now the architects are putting forward exactly the same unsatisfactory provision for cycle storage relevant to our existing district plan.
Yeah, district plan now would say that you must provide a more secure,
Yes.
Which obviously they've not taken that on board.
Thank you.
My Vice Chairman.
Thank you, Chairman. I agree with everything that's been said so far, and you know, had we have been presented with 4 blocks of flats in the first place, we wouldn't have accepted it. They got permission with 3 blocks of flats, and so therefore I think it should stay as it is, and I support the officer's recommendation for refusal, and I would move as recommended, Chairman.
Thank you. Councillor Cartwright.
Yeah, just an additional point, really, that yes, it is very much in the fine balance, but it's tipping towards no. Another tipping point from my point of view is that I think we should be careful at keeping the green gaps between, in this case, Burgess Hill and Haywards Heath, and resist temptation to fill in the blank spaces, because because of the Rocky Lane has been upgraded, there is this temptation, and there's a lot of development around there already. So I think this is, from that point of view, on the right side of the decision as well.
Correct. If you actually, if you stand where the flats are right now and look south, yes, there's the new development just across the road, but it will drop quite considerably. But if you look to the west, it is just trees. And it is, as I said, on the outskirts of Haywards Heath. And we wouldn't have allowed 4 blocks on there because we wanted a green landscaping around it. And this is now taking away the green landscaping, if we would approve it, away from what we gave permission for. And so I think the officers have got this absolutely right. But, you know, notwithstanding, it is a brownfield site, the area, and we've got to weigh up the pros and cons. And yes, it's 9 houses, 9 units, you say, of which some of them are affordable. But I do think this is not the right place to be, personally. So I've got nobody else wishing to speak. So I've had a recommendation. Have I got a seconder? I'm looking for Councillor Pulford being Haywards Heath. We've got a proposer and a seconder that we support the officer's recommendation with the additional reason for refusal, which is on the update sheet, which you can see, and that's the, as pointed out, to do with the Section 106 agreement on it. So, can you now indicate your supporting the officer's recommendations? Okay, I've got 100% support the officer's recommendation. So this application is refused with the officer's recommendation, and thank you very much. Right, move on to item 7. Questions pursuant to Council Procedure Rule 10.2, due notice which has been given. I have none, and I close the meeting at 19 minutes past 4. But before you do leave, could you just remain in situ while the video gets switched off? Off.